Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unexpected Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we are back with one of our previous clients, Katelyn, to talk all about the rebrand experience. So, before we jump into everything, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Hi, yeah, my name is Katelyn. I am a wedding and elopement photographer based in Las Vegas.
It's so fun when we can finally meet people in Vegas. I feel like we work with so many people that are spread out
hmm
across the world. So, we're finally oh my God, I know where that
No, I
is. I've,
love,
I've been there
I
before.
yeah, yeah, no, I love that you were local, so you like knew the vibes.
Yeah, exactly. So, when we did the full rebrand package with you with a new brand and a new website, before
hmm
you decided to jump into it, were you having any challenges or issues, or what kind of prompted you to be like, this is the time, I'm ready to do this?
Well, I have definitely never worked with anybody to work on my like brand or anything. I don't know if I ever really established like a brand outside of my photos. So, every time I had a new website to build or I wanted to update things, I really didn't have like anything to go off of. So, yeah, I was like DIYing up until I felt like it was time for the up level.
Had you done everything like brand, website, all of that? Was it all kind of on your own up until this point?
It was, yeah. I started out with a logo that I got on Fiverr when I started in like 2018. And it didn't not work, like it
Mhm.
was fine. But when it came to like building a website, I definitely just used like a template on Squarespace or Showit Now, just like the colors that were included. I really didn't mess with like anything like fonts, colors too much at all.
Mhm.
So yeah, whenever somebody asked me like if I was going to work with like a social media manager or anybody who was doing anything from a business, when they'd ask like, do you like send over your like brand colors, your fonts and stuff like that, I'm like, don't really have any of that, just whatever you think looks good. So yeah, it was time for sure.
I feel like that's the kind of everything was there, and it's not that it was bad. Like it didn't
Right.
look terrible, but it was just it. Like that was it. There wasn't anything
Right.
special about it, or stand out about it, which I feel like
Yeah,
is
it didn't like feel like me.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like we get caught in that a lot, especially as we're first starting out, we're like, I just need something. And then we fall into the
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like it's been too long for me to just need something. Like maybe I need something a little more me now.
Yeah, for sure. It was always like I like at the end of the year, I'd have some time off or the very beginning of the year, and I would decide it's time to like update my website or like do it over. And I'd always say like I'll get back to it like
Hmm.
in a month and update like with colors and fonts and stuff. Like I'll look into all that and do it. And then the year would go by and I never did it. So yeah, that never happened.
Yeah. We all fall. It's the thing where sometimes it's really just hard to prioritize the time, and there's so many other things going on in
hmm
business that you
for
could
sure.
do outside of that you're like, oh, I don't know if I have time to do this right now, but I know I
Yeah.
have to, but it just keeps getting pushed to the back burner.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know we actually launched our new rebrand pretty recently, so it hasn't been too long. But since we've launched it, what have your thoughts been on it? What's been kind of working for you? What have you kind of seen in response to it?
hmm Yeah, well, I feel like it's still pretty fresh, but I'm definitely like excited about it. And I'm not like nervous when people end up on my
Mhm.
website. A lot of people like did find me on Google, and I feel like I was showing up better on Instagram for sure. So like when people found me on Instagram, I knew they were like getting a better idea of like my vibe. But if they only went to my website, I was kind of nervous that like they would get not the wrong idea or like a bad
Mhm.
idea. It's just like different. It's not telling like the story that I kind of wanted it to tell. So definitely now I'm not nervous about people like ending up on
Yeah.
my website. Like I definitely wanted like what you see is what you're gonna get. I've gotten some compliments on it. I'm like, it's so fun and cool, which is like exactly the words that like I used. So yeah, so that's been great. And I have just kind of started, on my like Dubsado forms and all of like the external stuff. matching all of that, like with fonts and colors and stuff. So I'm like, I feel a lot better about starting the process, like with my couples who book, like the whole process is going to like be cohesive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big thing of like making sure that regardless of where someone finds you or like what step in the process they're at, it's that same
Hmm.
experience and that same vibe and like you said, kind of like telling that same story. And I feel like we've heard a lot of our clients be like, I have a website, but I like felt embarrassed when I sent people to the website because it just didn't do what I wanted it. Like it did what it needed to
Yeah.
do, but like not
Hmm.
really. It told a completely different story. And I feel like especially
Yeah.
with, you know, wedding and elopement photography and stuff like that, like you're with them very intimately and like you need to be able
Hmm.
to vibe with them and not just be like, yes, I can take photos that you like, but like you also feel comfortable around me because if you don't, it's going to make for a really awkward day and like that's not how you
Yeah.
want to remember your wedding day. And you know,
Yeah.
having something where right off the bat they can be like, okay, no, like this is the vibe I want. This is the type of person I want around me. Like this checks all of my boxes and like I get a sense of who you are before I even have to meet you. So it's not like I'm meeting with a complete stranger. It's like I'm meeting with someone that I like already know that I connect with.
For sure. And I mean, there are so many talented photographers. Like we're all kind of doing the same thing. Like we can kind of tell
Yeah.
the difference, but couples, I mean, I don't know how well they really can tell the difference between like our photos. But yeah, so I feel like the vibe and personality is super important to kind of like differentiate from everybody. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was important to me.
Exactly.
I wanted to like stand out somehow.
Yeah, there's always going to be like there's a million photographers out there. There's always going to be people that are in, you know,
Hmm.
similar styles as you. There's always going to be people that are, you know, your price range or you can be like, well, I'm cheaper than them, so I'm just going to go with them, but like you and your personality and what like you bring to the couple and to the day and to, you know, the photos, like that is what's special and stands out and that's what you want to make sure is highlighted and sometimes it's really hard to like pinpoint that and actually get it
Hmm.
out there, but then once you do, you're like, "Oh, like I can show up so much better and like I feel so much confident in this because it's more confident in this because like I know that this is truly me and people are going to want me for me."
For sure. And like I said, like Instagram, I felt like was doing a better job because I was like showing up better and more
Mhm.
consistently. I definitely felt like I was getting more aligned clients from like Instagram versus like who was showing up from like just Googling me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Was there a part of rebranding with us that you loved, like anything that was your favorite or anything that kind of surprised you throughout the whole process?
I really went in with like zero expectations because I've never done anything like this, or even like looked into it that hard. I can't lie because I knew I just felt it always felt like something far away that like I'll afford that later, I'll up level later.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it was a quick decision. And I was like, wait, like it's time for me to do this. So I really went in with like not knowing what to expect. So I can't say if anything really surprised me, but I feel like my favorite was watching like the website come together for sure. Like after getting like the colors and the fonts and everything's like separated and
Mhm.
just like I can't see that like you guys saw the vision, you
Yeah.
know? Like I liked all the pieces and I was like I was so excited to see how it all would show up on a website, like especially like the homepage and yeah, I was just excited about that. And that was really fun.
Yeah, I feel like there's the like initial excitement of like seeing the brand and the colors and like the logos and all that stuff, and you're like, this is all so cool. But then finally seeing it come together and like the full picture of like what it actually
Hmm.
looks like and like what it can be, it's just that
Hmm.
moment of like, oh wow, like this is so much more than I would expected it. And I know sometimes it's hard for, you know, us as designers might be able to like see things and be like, oh yeah, this might work here and here and here and here. But like
Hmm.
without that, you're like, this looks really cool and like I'm interested to see how it turns out and like having the trust in us to be like, okay, we have the vision, we got this, like just wait and
Hmm.
see what we can do with this. But seeing it all come together is kind of like, you know, putting that last piece of the puzzle into it and you're like, this feels so satisfying and like having it all
Yeah.
there is always so great to finally see.
Yeah. And like whenever I kind of would think about like branding or think that I maybe want to try to do a little bit more myself or update my website or anything, like going on Pinterest and looking at like brand kits and like color schemes and stuff. Like, okay, I felt like I saw that and I was like, ooh, I like that. I like that. But then like, I'm like, what do I do with those colors? And like, where do I put the pops of color where like, so,
Yeah.
like what makes sense, kind of like photography. I feel like I can take a couple to a location and they're like, I don't know what you're seeing here. And then when you show them photos, like they get the vision and it all like comes together.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of understanding the like different pieces of how things work together and being able to kind of like visualize it. And, sometimes I can fully say that, KP does a way better job at that than I do. I am definitely
Mm-hmm.
not the design mind behind anything at Inkpot,
Mm-hmm.
but like that kind of like, I think I could, I conceptually understand like how these things might work together, but like actually
Mm-hmm.
knowing how to put it together and what's going to work well, and what colors work well next to each other, or how they play with the photos, or like all of these different things.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you're like, wow, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of things that you don't even like realize. And I feel like when you don't know, you'll just look at a website and be like, I like this, but I don't know why.
Hmm.
You don't really know like why you're like attracted to these things, but like when I heard a quote on a podcast once and it was aces in their places, and I love that. I love handing something over to an expert at something, knowing that they know what they're talking about and it's going to get done like well and correctly. So yeah, I have no problem like handing something over to somebody. Yeah, I don't have that control issue for sure. If I know like it's going to get done right and they'll do it better than me, like please, by all means.
Exactly. There's a reason why we hire people to take our brand photos and don't try to attempt to do those on our
Yeah,
own. Like it's just it's
exactly.
different things. You have different skill sets, different, and like your mind is prioritizing different things too. Like if we were to try and take it, I'm sure it would get pushed off and off because we're like, there's other things that we need to do instead of,
Hmm.
going out to take these photos. But the second you're like, okay, I'm going to hire someone to do it, they're going to take some of this load off. They're going to walk me through exactly what I need and what needs to get
Hmm.
done. And then they're going to deliver the final product. And now it feels like this huge thing that was like impossible to do is now like, oh, I have 4 things to do. And then I get the stuff and it's perfect. And that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one final question for you. How confident do you feel with your new brand and website now?
Way more confident. Like I said, I'm definitely like not afraid when people end up on my website or I'm like, go to my website. It's like from my Instagram, we're not telling any different stories now. Yeah, and feeling more confident about the whole process, like all of
Mm-hmm.
my forms being cohesive and everything, and all the logos looking the same throughout everything. Yeah, it's really nice. It like took a weight off my shoulders that I didn't know was there until
Mm-hmm.
I kind of started updating things, and I was like, wow, all of this is like so all over the place and different. And while I don't really feel like my clients like noticed necessarily, I feel like they will notice when everything is like the same and like really nice and
Yeah.
be like, ooh, like they didn't necessarily like not like it, but they will like it more now going through the process of the whole thing, booking through the day of.
Yeah. I think there's that sense of like, are your clients going to notice that like one form to the next has different fonts? Like they might not pick it up, but when everything
Mm-hmm.
looks the same and feels really branded and cohesive, like people recognize that client experience, and like being able to do that from start to finish can like make the process even better. And like in a world where, having good client reviews and having good relationships with clients is important, doing
Mm-hmm.
anything that we can to make that process and that experience better for them is just like cherry on top. So being able to have
For
things
sure.
that like you're like, okay, you might not recognize when it's okay, but you recognize when it's really good. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're moving now, is the like really good.
For sure. Yeah, up leveling for sure. I like spent the rest of my years in business like honing in on like the client experience like outside of the branding, like what I'm
Mm-hmm.
delivering and like my personality with them and what they need from me beforehand and all of that. And I had it all in place, but it wasn't like cohesive yet. So that
Yeah.
was like the final place where I was like, oh, like I am where I am in like every other I'm where I want to be in every other like category of
Aspect of,
like
yeah.
the experience, except for the branding.
Mhm.
So yeah, it really is like the cherry on top for sure.
Is that final little piece. Now everything's on the same playing field and like everything is, at
Hmm.
the same level, which I feel like is what we want. That's the goal for everyone, to have
Yeah.
everything, at the same level that we want it to be at.
Yeah, and I definitely felt like I was kind of like stagnant and stuck for a little while. I couldn't like add, like maybe I want to start offering like some guides for like photographers and if I ever want to like expand and stuff. But I was like, where do I even begin? Like then I have to think about like freaking colors again, like what font I want to use. So I definitely have been like holding myself back, not even
Yeah.
realizing it without having like branding. But now I'm like, I can just like plug all this in, and that was like the hard part for me. Like the
Yeah.
info I have, but
Hmm.
the designing and deciding those things I did not. So,
Yeah. Starting with a blank page is like infinitely harder than at least being like, okay, I
mm-hmm.
know what colors I can use. Like I know what
Right.
kind of looks good. Like
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
perfect. Well, if anyone wants to take a look at your new brand and website, where can they find you online?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, of course, Katelyn Faye Photo. My website is caitlinfaye.com. And the other place I'm trying to be more active on is TikTok. And my username is Vegas Elopement Photog. So that's where I'm
Perfect.
at these days. Yeah.
We will put all of that down in the description below. Definitely go check them out. Thank you again so much for coming on and chatting with us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for everything. And yeah, I appreciate you guys.